Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Vilma and my channel is called My Curls and Beauty. And today I'm doing my roundup of best and worst foundations worn throughout the year of 2016. I absolutely love videos like this, find them very helpful, and the majority of the foundations that I have here, if not all of them, I've done reviews, so make sure to check the info bar below so you guys can have a little bit more information on the foundation that you're interested. There's a lot of drugstore foundations in this video and maybe a couple which are high-end, so I hope you guys enjoy this video and let's get started. So I'm going to start with my least favorite foundation of the year, which is the Boots No. 7 Stay Perfect foundation. I have this in shade Warm Beige. I believe this line is quite extensive. I believe they have about 14 to 15 shades. It retails for a little bit over 14 pounds if I'm not mistaken. And one thing that I love about Boots No. 7 is if you're not entirely sure which shade you should match yourself to, they have a little machine that if they put it really close to your skin, it will match you to your perfect shade. And I do this because I feel like the undertones of this line are completely off. Looking at the stand, I couldn't see any shade in the line that was yellow enough. I'm an NC30. As I mentioned, this is in Warm Beige, and this foundation does not have a single drop of warm in it. It actually has a gray undertone, which I've never experienced before. On my review, I did mention that the coverage was actually quite nice, but I could see the foundation on my skin the entire time I was doing the video, and when I was trying the foundation throughout the day, I was just looking at myself in the mirror. I cannot get out of the house with this foundation on. It also felt a little bit heavy, and it's one of the most expensive drugstore foundations that I've bought. 15 pounds is a lot for a drugstore foundation in my opinion, and I just don't think that this foundation is worth it at all. It's definitely my least favorite of the year. Next we have the L'Oreal True Match Genius Foundation, which is a 4-in-1 foundation. It's a primer, foundation, concealer, and powder. It comes in 4 or 5 available shades, which is really limited. It retails anything between 10 and 13 pounds, so it's not the most affordable foundation at the drugstore. It's a cream-based foundation which comes in a cute compact with a mirror. The foundation is there, and then you have the sponge applicator. Now I find that this is one of the worst foundations for the year because they should have actually called this a BB cream, because I feel like if you go to the drugstore, most of the time you only find a BB cream in maybe 2 to 3 shades, maybe if you're lucky 4 shades. And a foundation line that only comes in 4 shades is really poor, especially for L'Oreal. And they call this True Match. Not true match at all. It probably is a good match for somebody who is an NC20 to NC25. I'm an NC30 and this shade is way too light. It doesn't provide a lot of coverage, which is okay because I have no issues with that. It has SPF 30, which is great, but it doesn't match my skin and it makes my skin feel very oily after a while. It doesn't last the entire day. It's pretty for maybe a couple of hours, but after that it doesn't look all that nice on the skin. Next I have the Rimmel Fresh Skin, a foundation which comes in this little cute tub right here. This comes in a good array of colors. The shade that I match myself to is 400 Natural Beige, but this shade is way too dark for me. I don't even want to take the stopper out because I know foundation will just go everywhere. It's a very dark foundation. It's very heavily scented, and for those of you who are sensitive, you may not like or you may not enjoy wearing this foundation. I found it to be okay, but the scent is quite strong. Now the foundation did last pretty well on my skin, but the shade range is terrible. It jumps from 201 to 300 or 400. There's no shades in the middle. I feel like there's shades missing, especially for somebody of my skin tone. If you are quite pale, I believe you will find a shade available for you. But if you are kind of like medium skin tone, like myself, NC30 to NC35, you are not going to find a shade that is suitable for you. Now, I didn't feel like this foundation was heavy at all. It actually wore really nicely. I liked how it was sitting on the skin, but it made me look orange. I've never seen a natural beige this dark, and they have the same shade throughout their entire different lines that they have, all different lines that they have. Number 400 is Natural Beige, and it's a horrible natural beige shade. It's very orange, it's quite dark. Natural beige should be somebody who's at least an NC 35, and I feel like this is more suited for an NC 42 or 43, something like that. So I didn't enjoy using this foundation after the day that I tested it because the shade is absolutely terrible. Another foundation from L'Oreal, this is the True Match, the new reformulated True Match foundation. I have this in shade W4, and I've done a comparison between this one and the original formula, and I have to say that I prefer the original formula. This one has gold specks in there. They make me look quite oily. This foundation looks very obvious on the skin. I'm not entirely sure what they've done to it, but I feel like if you have textured skin, it just shows through. From a distance, it looks really nice. On camera, it looks very nice. But if I go and look at myself in the mirror, this foundation does not look nice at all. At least on my skin, I have enlarged pores. I have aging skin. Maybe somebody who has really smooth skin, tight pores, it will look nice. But for somebody who has acne scarring, I don't think you will like how this foundation is going to sit on your skin. And I'm not entirely sure why they've reformulated this and made it more glowy per se, because the original formula was actually okay. Every skin type could wear it. Now I feel like if you are oily, you are not going to like this. It still comes in the same amount of shades, if I'm not mistaken. It's still the same price as the original, which is around the £10 mark. But I will not wear this foundation again. Once I finish the original formula, this one is just going to be given away because I just don't like how it looks on my skin. My next foundation is one of my most recent reviews. This one is by Natural Collection, and it's the Color Foundation. I have this in shade Sand, and it's also the most affordable foundation I have ever bought. It only costs £1.99. It comes in a small amount of shades, but there's a little bit for everyone. If you're too pale, I'm not too sure. If you're too deep in skin tone, I don't think you will find anything available for you. But if you are kind of like medium to tan skin tone, you will find the shade. Now, I did like how this looked on my skin. It looked very natural. It says it's medium coverage, which I don't fully think it is unless you pack on the foundation onto your skin. It dries really quickly, so you need to be quite fast. It is suitable for combination to oily skin, which is great. And for the price point, I do think the foundation is okay, but it's not the best foundation I have tried. There are better foundations that if you put maybe another 3 to 4 pounds on top, you get a lot better finishes. I could still see my skin through, although it was saying it was medium coverage. The one that I'm wearing is full coverage, but if I just put a thinner layer and it gives me medium coverage, I don't see my skin all that much. But with this one, I felt like I needed to pack on so much. So you're paying £1.99. It's great for the price, but you're going to go through this tube so quickly, and it's not very long wearing. So after maybe 6 hours, it really started disappearing. But for the price, it's okay, but not the best foundation out there. My next foundation is also by L'Oreal, and I think this is the last one that I have here to show you guys. This is the L'Oreal Nude Magique Cushion Foundation. Once again, I have this in W3, I think, or is it number 7? I think these ones come in different shades. I think I got this in number 7. It has SPF 29, which is really weird. I didn't even know that this foundation had SPF. It comes in a really cute little container. If I can open it, I find this one so difficult to open. It has a mirror. Then it looks like this. Usually you would get here a sponge, but I threw that away. And then you have the foundation that looks like this. Now, I really enjoyed this foundation. It gave me a very nice natural finish, very glowy, if not dewy. Although I have combination to oily skin, I still enjoy foundations that give me a glow, that don't keep me completely matte, because I find them quite youthful. But this foundation dried in about a month. I used it for an entire week, then I put it aside because I try so many products. I went ahead to try it and I felt like I wasn't getting that much product. I was still able to use it for another week, and then that was about it. The foundation completely dried out. And that's why I'm putting it here on the section of my least favorite foundations, because although it's really, really nice, it just dries really quick. And this foundation is not cheap at all. It costs £14.99. Although I got it on promotion with another product and I only paid half price, this is a very expensive cushion foundation from the drugstore that does not last at all. And also it doesn't last on my skin, but that's kind of like, I already knew that because I have combination to oily skin, so a dewy foundation is not going to last. But I was expecting for me to be able to use it on and off for at least 2 or 3 months, but a month later was completely dry. So definitely one of my least favorites right now. I really wanted to love this foundation. It's a high-end foundation. It was expensive, but I just cannot fall in love with it. And the foundation that I'm talking about is the Illamasqua Skin-Based Foundation. I have this in shade 11.5. This retails for, I think, £29, and it comes in a huge amount of shades. Now, first of all, love the packaging. This is perfect for traveling, and you can control the amount of product that you take out, which I absolutely love. But I think the problem that I have with this foundation is the shade. First, they matched me to 8.5, was way too light. Then I was matched to 11.5, which is way too reddish, I would say. It's dark and it looks red. So I can't use it. I've tried using lightening drops and I still feel like the foundation does not look or sit nicely on my skin. I remember some people saying that this foundation is not for combination to oily skin, especially oily. But I'm one of those people who likes glowy foundations, but the shade just puts me off so much that I cannot enjoy the foundation. It gives you medium to full coverage. You can definitely get a lot of coverage out of this foundation. It doesn't have any SPF, which is great for photography, to be on camera. And I've used it a couple of times on camera, but I just don't like how it looks on me. And I hate it because I really wanted to like this foundation, but unfortunately, it's one of my least favorites. Next, we have the Milani Conceal Plus Perfect 2-in-1 Foundation Plus Concealer. I have this in the shade 04 Medium Beige. This line comes with a lot of shades, I would say a little bit more than 10. It's very difficult to get your hands on this foundation here in the UK. You always have to buy it online. I have not seen this foundation available in any store anywhere, and I had to match myself. I matched myself to shade Medium Beige, and I'm kind of like not too sure about this foundation. It does feel heavy a little bit. It feels heavy on the skin, and it looks like I'm wearing makeup. When I'm on camera, I like how it looks because I love being flawless when I'm doing videos. But for every day, this is not a foundation for me. I don't mind full coverage foundations, but they need to look natural. They need to look almost like skin. And this one doesn't. It's a great foundation to go out at night and stuff like that, but it's not something that I gravitate towards as well because the shade doesn't match me perfectly. It's a little bit pink in my opinion. It's actually not all that yellow and I was expecting it to be. Let me know if you are an NC30 which shade I should try this foundation, if I can go ahead and maybe buy the foundation because I want to like it. I really want to like it. It's a great drugstore foundation because it's a 2-in-1 foundation. It gives great coverage, but unfortunately when you buy shades online, foundations online, the shade sometimes is completely off and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it on my skin. So although it lasted the entire day and I remember it looked pretty good at the end of the day and I bought it, I'm not entirely sure about the shade and how it sits on my skin. So it's kind of like a 50-50 on this one. Next, we have the Maybelline Fit Me Matte Plus Poreless Foundation. I have this in shade 220 Natural Beige, and I adore this foundation. Finally, I'm talking about one foundation that I actually really like. I've used it nearly till the end. I think there's only a little bit in there. I've used it quite a bit. It's very inexpensive, really. I think it costs £6, around the £6 mark. It comes in a good amount of shades. Natural Beige is really good for me, mostly in the summer. I feel like right now is just a little bit too warm for my skin tone, but it stays on all day. It blurs my imperfections. It looks great on camera. It's great for an everyday foundation. I don't think this has SPF. If it does, I might put it here on the screen or something because I can't find it, but I do really like this one. I remember trying the original formula. It was definitely a no-no, but this one is one of my favorite foundations for the year of 2016 for sure. Next, I have the EX1 Invisiwear Liquid Foundation. I have this in shade 6.0. And I love this foundation as well. I've done a review over 2 years ago on this, and this year I've revisited the foundation. I bought a new bottle and I love it, especially in the summer. I find it very comparable to higher end foundations, the way it feels, the way it sits on the skin. It looks very natural. And I love the fact that it looks beautiful on camera, takes great photos, and it just warms up the skin without making you look like you're wearing a mask. And I know a lot of celebrities, you guys need to Google this foundation, and you can see there's a lot of people now wearing these foundations for photo shoots because it just photographs so nicely. It can give you a good solid medium coverage, buildable. Not entirely sure if it would go up to full coverage, but it's a layerable foundation that just looks so beautiful on the skin. Highly recommend, and definitely one of my favorites. This next foundation is a luxury product for me. I've never bought anything from their brand, and I'm so happy that I did because it's a great foundation for a combination to oily skin. It's the Chanel Perfection Lumiere Velvet. I have this in shade 30, and I love this foundation. It's that good for oily skin. Now, I remember when I did the review and I mentioned this, and I have to say Chanel's customer service is the best. I actually bought my original foundation in shade 40 at Boots. I lost the receipt. I contacted Chanel and they were kind enough to send me a new bottle, and I returned the other one, and I absolutely love them for that. They even wrote a letter to me explaining what they were going to do a week prior to receiving the foundation, which is so awesome. But the foundation is great. Excuse me, I apologize. My throat is really dry today. I wish that they had this in a lot more shades than they do. I think there's only 6 to 8 shades available. I'm lucky enough to actually have one that nearly matches me. It doesn't match me 100%, but it's the best match out of the shades that they have. And I just love how it blurs my imperfections. I don't have to set it with the powder. It stays the entire day. All the products that I apply over the top, all of them just layer so nicely. It's an expensive product, but it's so worth the money. And if you can find a shade available for you and you have oily skin, give this foundation a go because you will really like it. Next, I have the Revlon Color Stay 4 combination to oily skin. This was also one of my most recent reviews. I had to revisit this foundation from the moment I heard that they reformulated it, that they've provided a pump. I was so curious to see if I still liked the foundation. Now, I used it about 4 years ago. I remember being very heavy, but it gave me a flawless look, and I loved it every time I went out. I tried it again. I love it. I think it's a great drugstore foundation, and I think it's amazing that there is a brand at the drugstore that caters both for combination to oily and a normal to dry, because not other foundations do that, or other brands, and I think that is absolutely amazing from Revlon. It's a very inexpensive foundation. It costs £12.99. It comes in a good amount of shades. It's a full coverage foundation, a medium to full coverage foundation. It stays the entire day without looking patchy. It doesn't disappear, it doesn't budge, and I also find that it's a lot easier to remove now than it was back then. So I do feel like they have changed something on the foundation. I'm assuming they have, or maybe the products that I use are a lot better now than they were before, but I do really like this foundation. Somebody has actually recommended that I use shade 310, which is golden beige, but this one is actually called golden beige, and it's 300. Maybe in the States it has a name and over here is different. I'm not entirely sure. It is a little bit pale for me, but I can warm it up with a little bit of bronzer, and I highly recommend, if you're on a lookout for a good long wearing foundation for every day and you like that full coverage foundation that stays on the skin, this is definitely one to try. Next, I have the Clinique Chubby in the Nude Stick Foundation. I have this in shade Grandest Nude. This foundation retails for 21 pounds or 22 pounds, something like that. It comes in 10 available shades and you can find it widely available here in the UK. I love this foundation. It's very, very natural. It stays on the skin so beautifully. It's not a matte foundation. It's okay for combination to oily skin if you are very oily. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to perform on you. Maybe now in the winter it will work okay, but not in the summer. I don't think so. But the foundation just looks so nice. Everything that I apply on top, everything layers very nicely. It looks like skin. It wears beautifully throughout the day. And the fact that it's a stick foundation, I just take it to work, and if I need to retouch, that's what I'll do. I used it quite a bit this year. I only have this left. I used it more than half. It's just looking a little bit too warm for me at the moment, so I'm not touching it that much for during the day, but I think it's a great foundation for every day. I don't think it has SPF either, so it's good for flash photography, being on camera, taking, selfies and stuff like that. But as I mentioned before, and I've mentioned this so many times, it's a very, very natural foundation. Never looks cakey, but you will have to blot a little bit because, as I said, it's not a matte foundation, and because I have combination to oily skin, I have to blot maybe a couple of times throughout the day, but for the most part, I think it's an awesome foundation. And of course, I had to leave the best for last. This is definitely my favorite foundation from the entire year. I am wearing it today. It's the LA Girl Pro Coverage Illuminating High Definition Foundation. This is awesome. I get so many compliments when I'm wearing this foundation because it just gives the most beautiful finish on the skin. It's full coverage. It doesn't look cakey. It stays the entire day, and it's just an awesome foundation. I never thought that I was going to like a drugstore foundation so much as I like this one. At least this year, this one has to be the top of all of these foundations that I'm talking about, high-end drugstore. This is the best, and it's a foundation that costs less than 10 pounds. Depending where you buy it here in the UK, you can actually get it for like 8 pounds if you find the right shade for you. It's just awesome. It comes in 15 shades, and they also have a lightening shade. So they have the white foundation where you can just mix with your foundations to make them lighter. I am thinking about buying that one because this shade, which is natural, is just a little bit too warm for me. I don't think it oxidizes, it's just a little bit too warm for me, so I need to drag it down my neck all the time, but it just looks so beautiful. Love it. Stays the entire day. And this one definitely, if you're looking for a foundation that is long wearing, that gives you medium to full coverage, and it looks natural, definitely look out for this one. So that is my roundup of best and worst foundations for 2016. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments below which ones are your favorite. I would love to know. If you've tried any of the foundations I have here, what do you think about them? And that's basically it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.